Presiona el botón rojo de suscripción. Si ya estás suscrito, da clic en la campanita para que recibas todas las notificaciones. Te recuerdo, subo videos, sin excepción, miércoles, viernes y domingo. En la sociedad existen muchos misterios, teorías perturbadoras, capaces de quitarles el sueño a cualquiera. Por lo general, diversos casos de esta índole se comparten a diario por internet, pero son relativamente pocos los que han logrado viralizarse. Debido a esto, existen muchos casos desconocidos o poco compartidos que vale la pena mencionar, y el día de hoy abordaremos a uno de ellos. Y créeme, es bastante inquietante. Sin más por el momento, disfruta de este video. Este caso comenzó a compartirse en marzo del año 2018 por medio de un video de YouTube. En él se observó a un hombre de edad madura, con facciones un tanto extrañas y mirada muy profunda. El hombre dijo llamarse Alexander Smith y afirmó que durante años sirvió para la CIA. Explicó que trabajó en tal asociación en los años 70 y en 1981 fue contactado de nuevo para una misión especial en la que sería enviado al año 2118 para volver después. En el video mostró una fotografía de lo que supuestamente sería la ciudad en la que estuvo durante el año 2118 y explicó muchas cosas existentes en dicho futuro. Él dijo que ahí había vehículos voladores y que las calles estaban llenas de gente y robots que convivían como si fueran lo mismo. Además, afirmó que en esa época la vida extraterrestre inteligente ya sería oficialmente reconocida y mantendría comunicación con nuestros principales gobiernos.
My name is Alexander Smith. I've kept my silence on this issue for a long time. A long, long time. What I'm about to tell you is something that I haven't even told my children, nor my grandchildren. My own wife doesn't even know what I'm about to tell you. You see, the reason I kept my silence for so long was due to the threats that I got if I exposed my story and if I told what happened, if I told the truth, if I kept it all sealed up. The only way I can live with myself from now on is if I tell the truth about what happened. In the year 1981, you see, I had a background in the military. I rose up the ranks and eventually I worked for the CIA. I can't give my specific position in the CIA. I was sitting at home with my wife, on the couch, watching television, when I got a knock at the door. I went to the door to answer it, and outside were two men dressed in black suits. When I opened the door, They asked me to come with them. They worked for the CIA. I had a little bit of an idea of what we were doing. You see, back when I worked for the CIA, they were telling me about this one project in which they would test the limits of space and time itself. And I remember clear as day, one of the scientists came up and he told the other men wearing the black suits that they could leave. And they stepped out of the room and closed the door. It was just me and this one scientist inside the room. The scientist, he told me, this is a time machine. It seemed to be inside my own eyelids. I looked around, laying on my back, and I could see nothing, just white light flashing in my eyes every couple seconds. Eventually, I went unconscious. It was sort of like a fading out. My consciousness sort of faded out, and then I woke up. I was lying on a hospital bed. Eventually, a nurse walked into the room I was staying in. It was the first person I've seen after this incident. And she began to explain everything to me. She said I was found on the side of the road, unconscious. She thought I had gotten in some sort of car accident or something, and I told her about my story. I told her what had happened, and she asked me. She said, what was the date in which this happened? And I told her it was in the year 1981. And I'll never forget what she said back. She said, sir, it's 2118. And I said, 2118? I thought she was referencing the military time. But she said, sir, don't you know the year? It's 2118. As I had to get out of this hospital, I was completely fine. I felt okay. So I got out of my hospital bed, and I noticed a chip on the bottom side of my wrist. A chip, and what I assumed that chip was for monitoring my heart rate and all the other vitals. I went up to the front desk of this hospital, and I asked the lady who was standing there. And I asked the lady, where am I? And she tells me, you're in District 508. And I said, District 508? What does that mean? And she says, what do you mean, what does that mean? Well, you're in District 508. I began to question everything. Where was I? I went up to the front of the hospital. I went to the front doors, which was sliding glass doors, and they opened automatically when I walked through. And I saw them, and I realized I was on the outskirts of the city. This city with buildings I ain't never seen before. And I saw a sign saying District 508. I wasn't sure about how any of the technology worked, but I saw buses and cars flying in the sky above me. The streets down low were open. You could walk. Anybody could walk, and it was full of pedestrians and people biking, but there was no cars at the base level. All the cars and all the other transportation was above, going in between the skyscrapers. And much of the skyscrapers appeared to be made of glass. They were all very transparent, and they were all very tall, much taller than any skyscraper you'd see in New York. I also saw robots, and such robots appeared to be floating a foot or two off the ground. And they appeared to look quite like humans, except they didn't have legs, and they were floating up off the ground. I went up to a random man on the street, and I says to him, you need to listen to me. I know you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you, but I'm a time traveler. And he simply says to me, okay, as if he hears it every day. And I asks him, what year was time travel developed? And he tells me it was developed in the year 2028. 2028, he says. And it says, no, I'm a time traveler, and I travel from the year 1981. He looks at me strangely and he says, but they taught me time travel was developed. So both of us were confused. So upon walking around, I went up to one of the robots and I says, excuse me, and it turns around and looks at me. It looked like any other ordinary person, except it didn't have legs and it was floating off the ground. And it turns around and looks at me. And I says, excuse me, how can I time travel? And the robot says, well, sir, you need to go to the nearest time travel agency. Now, I wasn't sure if it was really a man or if it was one of them robots. But the robots, they appeared to talk in the same manner that people do. I couldn't distinguish any one of them robots apart from the people if it weren't for the fact that they were floating a couple feet off the ground and that they didn't have legs. So I had to swear to them that I would never tell anybody. You see, I couldn't live with myself anymore, and I had to tell people about this. Just so my family and everybody else out there knows the truth. I think the truth is the most important thing, and I want to thank you for listening to my story, because my sole goal from now on is to tell the truth. Whether that truth may be hard to believe for some people or not, I'm unsure of whether they'll hunt me down and find me. Yes, thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
Muchas personas creyeron sus palabras, pero algunos retractores vieron a este video como un bulo más de internet. Ahora bien, ¿qué opinas tú al respecto? ¿Se tratará acaso de un suceso auténtico o tan solo es otro engaño más? Ya sabes, en casos como este, tú cuentas con el veredicto final. En la descripción de este video encontrarás un link que te enviará al video original. Si este segmento fue de tu agrado, me ayudarías mucho dando like y compartiendo. Muy buenos días, tardes o noches, sea cual sea la hora en la que hayas visto este video. Muchas gracias por tu atención.